y'all see what I have here, so you can kind of guess or look at the video title and you're going to figure out what we're going to do today. I got to thinking the other day, I wanted to do some new projects, and I'm still, you know, working on some that I promised that I would get up there. I just have had issues with having a kid around to measure to do the toddler pants, but my nephew is here today, and I will get the first part of that video done, and then I can work on making the pants. But I got to thinking, when I was a kid, it used to snow a lot in the winter in North Carolina. Not a whole lot, but it would snow, and it would be a big snow. And Mama would send us out in the snow, and she always worried, even if we had gloves or mittens, that I guess that our little fingers were going to freeze off. So she would put Daddy's socks over our mittens or our gloves. And I thought, maybe I can make some fingerless gloves with the thumb hole and all out of socks. So I went to Walmart and I got this 3-pack of these socks, and it was only $3, so super cheap. And you know, you can get mittens for a couple of dollars a pair at Walmart, but these long fingerless gloves, you could go to somewhere like Hot Topic or something and pay $15-20 for them. So this is going to be a really simple project, just a twisted quickie. And I'm going to show you guys how I did this. And I kind of had to work with this pattern. This is the first and only one I made, but it worked out so well that I'm going to go ahead and do the video and show you how to do it. So the first thing you will need is a pair of socks. Unless you just want one glove, then you can dig a sock out and try it. But I wanted to do a pair, and I was trying to find socks that didn't have the heel, that were just straight, but unfortunately I just couldn't find any. I think they might have had big packs of them, but I just didn't want to buy like a 6-pack or 12-pack of socks that I didn't really need, and I wanted to kind of experiment with the project. But this worked out great. I'll show you how they look on, and I mean, you know, you got a cute little glove there, a little fingerless glove. So you need socks, and I like the ribbing. I was looking for that too. I wanted them to be kind of ribbed at the top, or what'll be the bottom when you make the glove. So the first thing that we need to do, and I didn't really do any measuring because you guys know I play it by eye a lot. I eyeball a lot of things. So the thumb is going to be in the heel here, so I kind of figured out, and I need to use some selvage from this when I cut it off. And originally I had cut a lot less of this part, but I found that I had to keep cutting this one down to get it to the right size to go over the finger. So you can cut off straight across. I want to say, well, I'll measure it and I'll show you guys. I cut off approximately 4 3/4 inches from the toe down. So, and this little labeling here isn't going to matter. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to flatten that toe out to where you can see these socks they have branding on them. So I want to cut that branding off, and I'm not going to need a lot for the thumb hole, so I'm going to cut it straight across. Well, I really want to go and make sure I get that seam of that toe cut off, and then, you know, as you sew, I kind of ended up getting rid of this anyway, even though it showed a little bit when I made the first one. I know I sound so confusing today, don't I? I'm going to cut it off about a 1/2 inch or so under that seam of the toe, so that you get rid of that seam. And then we're going to take the sock, and we're going to turn it wrong side out and lay it with the heel facing outside, just like it would be if it was right side out, and flatten that heel out real good. So the thing I want to do, once I've got that heel flattened out, is I want to take this and start cutting down this fold of this seam. And then what I'm going to do, I'd say that's so much, don't I? I'm cutting almost pretty much all the way down to this ribbing here, and then I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm going to cut that heel piece straight so that we get rid of it. And we kind of have a little funky looking, you know, it's a little out of shape, but I promise it'll work out. You saw the sock that I converted at the beginning of the video. Now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to kind of even out this piece, and then I'm going to cut it on that fold line. And you see this has some, this doesn't matter, you know, it's got some kind of knitted and then smooth right here. If you want to do measuring and all that, you can measure your thumb around here. Mine just happened to turn out just perfect, so I didn't really need to do any measuring. But you could probably like take it and put it around your thumb and figure out with some seam allowance how much you need to cut. And it's going to need to be wider at the bottom than at the top, so I'm cutting just a little less than I need to, and then I can always cut it down later. So I've cut off a couple of inches there of that. And what we're going to do next is open this sock up and open this piece up, and we want to put right sides facing together. And I didn't, like I said, this is like a really quick tutorial. I didn't do any measuring exactly where to put it or anything. So now we're going to go over the sewing machine. I'm going to show you what to do. So now this is going to take just a little bit of clever sewing, but it's so quick, guys. You'll have a cute pair of fingerless gloves by the time you're done, and it only takes, this project at the most might take 15-20 minutes. So now I have my machine set on a medium speed. I have it on 2.5 stitch length, and I have it on medium woven fabric setting. And that seemed to work out fine for me the first place. So you see I've got the right sides facing together. I've got this sock turned wrong side out, and the right side of the thumb hole and the right side of the sock. And I'm just going to kind of try to place it in the middle of that area there. And I need to be careful because it kind of dips like this in the middle. It's not smooth across, but you just want to make sure you connect everything really, really well. I'm going to start by laying this out. Try not to pull and stretch it too much. It'll kind of not come out quite right if you stretch too much. So we're going to stitch, back stitch, and then I'm going to go all the way down till I reach the end of this thumb hole. So there you see, that's what will be the right side of it, and this is the wrong side of the thumb hole, the glove. Okay, the next thing we want to do is join everything together here. And like I said, this might not exactly line up perfect because of the cut of the sock and everything, but you just need to try and sew it kind of straight. So I'm going to start at the top of the glove where the fingers will come out, and I'm going to make sure you can see me. I'm going to make sure the thumb hole and everything is lined up. Now when I get down to here, I don't know if I'll speed this part up and I'll miss it or what, but I'm going to flatten out these seams so that it's not really bulky right here, and I want to sew over the flattened out seams when I get down to this part. Okay, now that I'm down here, I'm making sure these seams are flattened out, and I'm going to have to kind of turn to get around this sock. And what I want to do is go at an angle. I know I didn't cut it at an angle, but I'm going to sew it at an angle because you want that thumb hole to be more narrow at the top so that it doesn't look all baggy and saggy. So now you see what we've got here. We've got the glove all together, but we just need to do some trimming and then it'll be ready to wear. You don't really need to do any seams or anything on this. You could if you want to. I just felt like it might stretch the glove out a bit more than I wanted it to. But you know, it just depends on how you want to do it. You could actually even go on before you put all this together and sew a piece of lace around the outside of this. But anyway, the next thing I'm going to do, you can see I've sewn this at an angle. I want to trim this down and just get rid of that selvage on there. And then this at the top, it might be kind of hard for you guys to see, but I'm going to trim this at an angle so that it's not sticking out. Then we want to turn it right side out, and we're still not done trimming, so we're still doing that. And you want to try it on. And figure out where you need to trim. If you like the size of that thumb hole, you know, you barely got any thumbs sticking out, you can leave that. But I can see that I need to trim this across here. I'm going to take a piece of chalk. I didn't do this with the first time, and I had to keep trimming, keep trimming. I kind of want this at my pinky finger to be like right above my knuckle. So you guys probably can't see the line, but I actually can. So, and then I'm going to make a line here because I do want to cut a little bit of that thumbnail off, and then just very carefully take it off because you might rub your chalk off. It lays a little bit. This seam is actually going to be kind of behind your hand right here, but it doesn't, it's not a big bother. So I'm going to trim that off. And again, I'm trimming where I made my marks, and I know you guys can't see it, but, and we're going to try it on again. See how that works out. Yeah, I like that. I could probably go back in and sew that a little bit more at an angle because it's kind of baggy right there now. But I mean, that's just up to you if you like it that way. So if you're making a pair, which I didn't match them up here because I was just doing the video really quick. You want to make sure everything matches up. You sew one, get it the way you want it, and then you sew the other one, and what you can do is lay it on top of the one that you've already trimmed and got the way you want it. Make sure that they're the same length and everything matches up. So that's it. That's my little twisted quickie for today, y'all. Y'all have a good week. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.